absolutely. So I wonder, Dr. DeLuca, what type of things should coaches or parents be looking for in their kids to make sure they're not overusing, that same arm over and over again? I'm using pitching, for example, or even, throwing from the outfield, right?
Right. That's a good point because a patient comes in and you tell them they're throwing too much, and usually the parent says, "Well, they're not." But then when you actually go and ask them questions like, "Well, do they play other positions?" Yeah, they play shortstop. Well, how many times they throw it in practice with that? And then if you add it up, it is an overuse type of problem. The it's tough. I find that at least in the professional level, a lot of the coaches are attuned to what's going on and they really are interested in protecting the player. That whole idea of, you got to be tough, get out there and play, that really doesn't exist too much at the professional level. Unfortunately, I'm still seeing it at the high school level. I mean, I just recently had a patient that dislocated his shoulder, and I told the parents were fine with it, that he was going to be out. He probably was going to miss the rest of the season. But the coach came up to me and said, "He's fine. Why can't he play? Look at him. He's okay. They put the shoulder back in. He has no pain. He can play." And so they have to be educated. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, is education to the coaches and the parents. Like Dr. Hopkins said, the parent has to also observe their child, and if they're doing something that they don't normally do, they should ask them what's wrong. The parent has to be involved also in their athletics. I'm sorry. They have to be able to see what they're doing and monitor them closely.
And I also think too, just taking last night's Yankee game, for instance, you had Sevy on the mound, just came back from an injury, right? And Boone pulled him, even though he was, having a no-hitter. And you see Sevy in the dugout going, no, no, no. Sometimes those players, it's like, this is my chance. I want to go in, coach. So at what point do you say, no, even though you're on, maybe the precipice of greatness, we've got to pull you back to protect yourself, Dr. Hopkins?
Well, I think a big part of that is building constructive communication amongst players and coaches, kids and their parents, the athletic trainers that service these high schools, and the student athletes. A kid needs to know that it's okay to say that they're having pain, right? Overuse injuries in particular, they don't come out of the blue. They're from the repetitive stress of whatever sport the kid is playing. So, if their velocity goes down when they're pitching, if they're having elbow pain, they need to feel safe to tell their coach that, because then the coach needs to recognize, or maybe the mom realizes, he really doesn't want to go to practice today. That's so not like him. And you need to pick up on the cues, like Dr. DeLuca was saying, that indicate that something is changing. And that comes from how the coaches are trained by the athletic departments of these schools, or even these outside of school leagues. What sort of training do the coaches have to undergo? What they should also be attuned to, what are the signs and symptoms of burnout, or what are they looking for in terms of injuries that could indicate that a kid is just doing too much.
Yeah, and Dr. DeLuca,
players want to play. That's the
right.
bottom line, and you have to protect them from themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.